Hey everybody, this is Tripp Johnson, and today I want to talk about our journey into becoming a triple bottom line business. So this started back when I took over as CEO of Greenhill. I'd like to say that we were always a values-based, mission-driven company, but that's not exactly the case. We always had a good mission, but we didn't know exactly how to bring that into reality. So when I took over as CEO, the first thing I wanted to do was do a rebranding. And I reached out to one of my buddies who suggested reading the book, What Great Brands Do. Now, I thought we were just going to redesign a logo, but that didn't turn out to be the case. The first chapter in that book was Your Culture is Your Brand. At that point, I realized we might be kind of screwed. So I turned my attention from thinking about branding to thinking about culture. That took me to the book by Daniel Coyle called Culture Code. And it just really emphasized how important it is to build a cohesive culture, one that really resonates with everyone in the organization and exemplifies what you all do. Months of reading, I came across Patrick Lencioni, read all of his books. They're great kind of business culture fables a lot of times. And then ultimately, one of my good friends and cousins recommended 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, which I've really taken as the best synthesization of Western leadership philosophy and some of this kind of values-based personal growth. So it took about a year to go from the idea that we needed to do a rebranding to actually doing it. During that time, what we really focused on was becoming a values-based, mission-driven organization. Now, we always had the mission to help people who are struggling with substance use disorder and other co-occurring mental health disorders. But how are we actually going to do that? How are we going to build a company that was sustainable in the long term? I thought it all started with our values, what brings us together and what really unites us behind a cause. So we spent probably 6 months just articulating our values, going through a lot of exercises as a team, and a lot of wordsmithing, because we really wanted them to resonate, not just for our team, but for our clients and their families. Our values are incredibly important, and we believe, move us along the path of human flourishing. So it's great. We started talking about being a values-based, mission-driven company. Every year we have a presentation to the entire team where we go through our history, our values, and then where we're going, what our vision is. In addition to that, when anyone joins our team, I spend the first couple hours that they're here just really walking them through this process. Inculcating someone into your culture takes a long time, and we want to start early. One thing I've seen from leading Greenhill is that culture trumps everything. It's really the most important thing. And when you really build a cohesive culture, you start to attract the kind of team you want, you start to attract the clients you want, and you really kind of find your tribe. So I'm a big believer that culture is the most important thing that leaders are focused on. They've got to be focused on building that cohesive culture. It's a lot harder now as we're distributed sometimes, but you can still do that. Now, talking about being a values-based, mission-driven organization is great, but how do you bring that into reality? Now, we've spent a lot of time, and I think we've done this well for a few years, but it wasn't until I found what's called the triple bottom line approach that I felt like we could really operationalize what we're trying to do. We want to have an impact on the world. This goes beyond just the clients we serve and our team. We really want to be an exemplary corporate entity. So in the triple bottom line approach, old school mentality being you just focus on profit. Now, I don't think anyone in the kind of serving professions are focused just on profit. You didn't become a therapist, a doctor, just because you want to make money. You want to do good. But ultimately, to create a sustainable organization, you do have to, manage the idea that there's a profit component. You're taking care of your people, your clients, and the community. And then, one thing that's become more in fashion recently, which I think is incredibly important, is how we're, preserving the planet. What are we doing as a corporate entity to make a good impact on the community around us and on the environment as a whole? So we adopted this approach formally just a couple months ago. And what we've done so that we can, really embrace this and carry it out into the world is establish working groups. So we have a working group comprised of people from our senior leadership, down to our frontline team that are dedicated to looking at the people component of what we do. That's, again, our team, our clients, their families, as well as the community around us. The people component looks at diversity and inclusion initiatives. It looks at outcomes measures. How are we assessing how we're doing? Again, for the clients we're serving, but also for the team. For us to be a sustainable organization, we've got to keep all of that in the right balance. Now, the Planet Committee, being in the service industry, we're not, producing a lot of, waste in the traditional sense. But that doesn't mean we don't order too much off of Amazon. That doesn't mean that our waste disposal and recycling practices are top-notch. So our Planet Committee is really looking at that. In addition to that, what we're looking at is how are we engaging the local community? How are we using the resources that we have, the knowledge that we've built, in order to make a larger impact? So some of what we're doing is requiring volunteering as a part of work. So 5% of our work time, if you're working a 40-hour week, we expect that 5% is dedicated to serving the community. In addition to that, we have a committee dedicated to, looking at how we're using our profit wisely. That means they're looking at everything from pay transparency for our team to, what does the ownership distributions look like? We often shy away from talking about profit in this field, but that doesn't need to be the case if we're using it wisely. One of the things we've done here is we've actually sent out our financials to everyone on our team. We want everyone to help us create a better future. And a lot of it, how we do that is going to be because of the good ideas on our team. I'm certainly no genius or leadership savant, and this is the first time I've really been in business, and I want to do it right. So I'm looking for feedback from everyone on our team to make this the best organization we can. And beyond that, I'm looking to you. I want to get better. So if you can help me be a better leader, be a better servant to our community, then please send me your recommendations.